What in the world is going on with the Seattle Seahawks? Baseball, hot stove, blowing up. Are you ready for the best damn sports radio show on the planet? Man, our nation, rise up.
You know on the beat every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that while I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No fourth and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
Woo! What is up, Man Hour Nation? It's your boy BC Brandon Combs coming to you live on this Tuesday night edition of the Man Hour. As you can see, I am all by my lonesome tonight. No Buck, no Tori, no Soup Boss. Wyatt is, I don't know where Wyatt's at. He's off in college, living it up. Living the dream. But I'm by myself for the first half hour. Then we'll welcome in Luke G. Luke G will be joining us at about 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 for those of you out on the East Coast. Any of you watching us on the West Coast, it's 5:30 your time, just in case you were wondering. But then after that, Buck will join me. We'll get some football talk in for sure. We got a lot of stuff to go over before Luke G comes in. And as you guys know, when I'm by myself, I kind of like to bend the rules a little bit because nobody else on this show really knows how to talk about baseball, the exception of maybe Soup Boss. And I say maybe because he's a Red Sox fan. But we've got some baseball stuff going on, man. A lot of stuff has happened in the last 48 hours in MLB. There is a collective bargaining agreement. The deadline is for tomorrow. And I don't know what in the world is going to happen with MLB. I don't know what makes them think they can outlast another work stoppage. So however long this thing lasts, they better get it right, and they better get it right quick because they cannot survive another work stoppage. And the players know. I think the players know something's up. All of a sudden, I mean, we hadn't been able to get any moves before the new year in the past 3 to 4 seasons. And now, all of a sudden, we've got players signing left and right. Max Scherzer's 37 years old. 37 years old. And the Mets gave him a 3-year, $130 million deal. $43.3 million per year. The man is only going to pitch in about 26 to 28 games. He's only going to go about 6, sometimes maybe 7 innings on his good nights. So you're telling me that man is worth over $1 million per game. Over $1 million per game. Look, I like Max Scherzer. I'm a fan of Max Scherzer. I wish the Cubs would have signed Max Scherzer, but not for that tag price. Not for that price whatsoever. 3 years, $130 million for a 37-year-old pitcher is absolutely insane. I've said it before. The Mets just like to Met. I mean, this might pan out for them. I don't see this as a good move for them. A lot of people say, "Oh, it looks like the Mets are going to go out and spend money. They're going to do what they." I think they're going to spend it, but they're going to spend it in the wrong places. A lot like the other New York team that plays on the other side of town has done over the last, I don't know how many years with their pitching staff. I don't see this ending well for the Mets. But other than that, I mean, the Texas Rangers went from a team that only won 60 games last year and now has probably the best middle infield in all of baseball. That Mets middle infield is going to be nasty. They went out and got Marcus Semien, and then they went out and got Corey Seager. They spent $500 million to do it. $500 million, billion with a B, to get the best middle infield in Major League Baseball. And now all of a sudden, a team that only won 60 games last year has now found themselves as maybe the second, maybe the third best team in that division. They're going to be able to compete with the Houston Astros, who look like they're going to lose a lot this year. I mean, they're going to lose Carlos Correa. They've already lost some pitching. They're going to lose a lot. And now you've got a team in Texas that has been rebuilding, has been saving money, and now they're spending it. So good for them. I mean, in the players, I mean, the moves that they're making before this deadline is outstanding. You have Javier Baez going to the Tigers on a 6-year deal. I don't know how long that's gonna pan out with the rate that he strikes out, but I think that the players are going to be the ones that hold their feet to the fire. The players are going to be the ones that don't give an inch. The owners this time, the last collective bargaining agreement, though, the players had to lay down and beg because they went out and they got replacement players. They were still playing the game. The owners were still making a little bit of money. And the players had to give. This time it's going to be the owners. The players aren't going to give in. And they know that. That's why they went out and signed these deals. They're like, look, I'm going to get paid before, we have a work stoppage. I'm going to make sure I have my money in my account. Signing bonus. I don't think the players are going to budge. I think that the owners are going to have to be the ones that give in. I think we're going to see a DH in the National League. I think that's one win that the owners are going to get. I think that we're going to see a salary cap. I think that's another win that the owners are going to get. But those are the only wins the owners are going to get. That's the only time the owners are going to win in these collective bargaining agreements are with those two things. After that, they have to concede anything that the players want because they've got to get this done and over with. Can't have another lockout. Absolutely, positively not. Baseball cannot afford it. Baseball is, with all of the money. I just said the Texas Rangers spent $500 million on 2 players. So clearly, the sport is thriving. Clearly, the sport is still making money. And the only way you make money is if you drive revenue. And the only way you drive revenue in baseball is with fans. And baseball's got its fans. But they're not going to stick around. Baseball fans, that are going to have to endure another strike, are not going to stick around. I'll stick around. I love this game to its core. So I'll always be a baseball fan, no matter what's going on in the game. You give me replacement players again, I'm still going to watch. I'm going to watch replacement players play. Hell, I might even go try out. But I don't see baseball surviving it, so I see owners having to give in. I just do. What's going on, Drew? I see you in the chat. Buck's in the chat. We've got Trent Mason's in the chat. What's going on, Trent? Guys, what do you think? I mean, Drew, what do you think? You're a baseball guy. I mean, do you think the players need to give in, or do you think the owners need to give in on this one? I think the players should stand their ground. I think the players should give. The owners make way too much money in this game for the players to have to be the ones that give in. When you're grossing $3 billion a year, $3 billion a year per team, in your payroll, most of them are under 100 million. Most of them are under 100 million. But they're making $3 billion? I mean, and Buck, stop, Buck. Buck chimed in and said baseball players make way too much. No, the owners make way too much money. The owners make out in this deal. The $10 freaking beers at the ballpark, the $6 hot dogs, the $180 bleacher seats. Give me a break. Give me a break. Buck says salary cap is a must. Shorter season. Games on Tuesday, Wednesday. Shut up, Buck. We're not getting less baseball. Maybe a shorter season. I'd be all right with a 140 game season somewhere in that ballpark, but I'm not giving you too much room there. I'd be okay with a salary cap. I really would, but that salary cap's going to be somewhere in like the $240 million range. I think they also need to have a salary minimum. I think if you're making $3 billion a season, there is no reason why. I saw a stat today. Max Scherzer next year. Max Scherzer is going to make more money in his contract than 3 teams' entire payrolls. 3 teams' entire payrolls are going to get paid less than Max Scherzer next year. $43 million. That's sad. You gross $3 billion in revenue because they have revenue sharing. And Trent says, wait, baseball doesn't have a salary cap? No, they do not, Trent. And they have revenue sharing. And when a team is making $3 billion and they're spending less than $100 million on payroll, they're not trying to compete. All they're doing is making money. It's a cash cow. And it's sad. I mean, you can't look at it any other way. It's sad. Teams need to have, I think they need to have a salary minimum. I think you need to force teams to have a floor of $100 million and a max of 250 or maybe 300. But you certainly need a floor more than you need a cap. You need to force these owners to put a competitive product on the field so that they don't just sit there and collect money and bring it in and never spend a dime of it. That's terrible. It's terrible for the fans of those teams. He says, so that's why teams, aka the Yankees, have been able to afford players in the past while having multiple superstars. Yes. Yes, the Yankees always have the highest payroll. And you know what? They haven't won a World Series since 2009. They spend a lot of money in the wrong places, Trent. I mean, they can spend all the money they want. They just don't know where to spend it. They spend it on a lot of guys who strike out a lot but hit a lot of home runs, and then they bargain shop for pitching and then wonder why they can't win in October. It's insane. Drew says no caps, no caps. I agree. I'm okay with no cap. But you need to have a floor. You need to make sure that the owners of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have a great fan base, by the way, in a beautiful stadium, maybe the best backdrop in the league, you need to make sure that those teams are spending money. Those owners are spending money and not just collecting it. Because when it's revenue sharing and you've got teams out there that are competing and spending money like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Kansas City Royals even, when you've got those teams spending money, these other owners with the revenue sharing are just collecting. When was the last time the Pirates were good? When was the last time the Pirates had a reason, Pirates fans, I should say, had a reason to be excited about their team? It's been a long time. Tigers, too. And they finally went out and spent some money. They went and got Javier Baez on a 6-year. I believe it was like 162, which was, to me, for Javi Baez, I thought that it was kind of a bargain. I mean, if I'm the owner, I'm not spending that much on Javier Baez, just based off of his performance, the way he tends to strike out a ton. But look, his defense alone is going to draw butts to the seats. I love watching Javier Baez play baseball. So I just think that the owners are going to end up having to cave in this collective bargaining agreement. I really do. I really do. And I don't know how long this lockout is going to last, but it's probably going to be, I'd say probably about a month and a half. And if it goes any longer than that, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, we're getting some college football playoff talk. The rankings are out. I'm not happy about them. So we're going to talk about it. I'll be back. Give me 2 minutes if I can find the button. And we are back. It's a good little segment. People are talking over in the chat, mostly Buckheister. He says only 5 things can bring baseball back to glory days. 1, steroids. 2, sticky stuff. 3, crocked bats. 4, bouncy balls. And 5, shorter seasons. Buck. Major League Baseball teams gross $3 billion a year. Each. Baseball's just fine. Doesn't need to go back to its glory days. It's doing just fine. Just because people like you don't understand it, because it's kind of a smart person sport, doesn't mean that other people don't watch it. Not everybody's like you, and only cheers for our team when they're winning. We watch them when they're losing too. Just saying. Speaking of watching your teams when they're losing too, College football playoff rankings came out today. I don't understand for the life of me. Don't understand it. But let me give you these rankings. Georgia's 1, Michigan's 2, Bama's 3, Cincy's 4, Oklahoma State's 5, Notre Dame is 6, and Ohio State is 7. How is Alabama the third best team in the country according to rankings? How the hell does Alabama go and almost get beat for 3? If the running back from Auburn doesn't run out of bounds, they lose that game. And then they need 4 overtimes to beat an unranked team. But they stay third. Meanwhile, you've got a team like Cincinnati who's undefeated, ranked behind them. And look, I know it's Cincinnati. I get it. Then you got Notre Dame, whose only loss came to Cincinnati, the 4th ranked team, and you've got them ranked behind Alabama, whose only loss came to an unranked Texas A&M. And then they barely squeaked by an unranked Arkansas team. It's not the same. Alabama is not the same team. They're ranked number 3 because their name is Alabama, not because they're a good football team. And Alabama's going to get into this college football playoff. You watch. Even if they lose to Georgia next weekend, they're going to be ranked 4th. They're going to get their way into the college football playoff. They are going to lose their first playoff game because they're not as good as any of the top 6, 7 teams in this country. They're not. They're not even better than Ohio State. If anything, I would have been happier with the college football ranking putting Alabama outside and leaving Ohio State in, even though they lost to Michigan this weekend, who's now ranked number 2. You had a number 2 versus number 5 matchup. That's worse than losing to unranked Texas A&M. That's better than having to go 4 overtimes versus an unranked Auburn team. And you say all you want about it being a rivalry game. Sure, great. You know what else is a rivalry game? Michigan and Ohio State. And those are 2 top 5 teams. 2 top 5 teams. One Pride says against Georgia. Yes, they're going to lose against Georgia. Alabama is going to get shellacked versus Georgia's the best team in the country. I don't think Georgia loses a game this year. I don't think there's anybody that can compete with them. I don't think Michigan. I don't think Ohio State. Definitely not Cincinnati. Notre Dame. I mean, every time we let Notre Dame into a college football playoff, and I'm a Notre Dame fan, but every time you let Notre Dame into a college football playoff, they don't show up. And now you've got Brian Kelly leaving. He's not even going to coach the damn playoff game if they make it. You know what would be the best thing in the world? Is Brian Kelly, talking about, he always talked about, oh, no, I'm going to, die at Notre Dame. Like he said last week he was asked about the rumors for him and it was, God. There's USC. It was rumored for him to go to USC. They asked him about it, and he said, look, the best line came from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he said, I'm not leaving, but if somebody comes with a $250 million check, I'm going to have to at least check with my wife first, right? And that was what Brian Kelly said. And then USC came with a $100 million check. It wasn't quite the 250 he talked about, but they came with a $100 million check, and now he's gone. But wouldn't it be funny if the interim coach, if somehow Notre Dame sneaks into the playoffs, the interim coach leads them to a national title, and Notre Dame wins the national title without Brian Kelly being there? And what's up, Trent Mason? I see you in the chat with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Trent. Appreciate the love, sir. Says, with Wake Forest leading the ACC, do you see Clemson having the same appeal as in the past when it comes to recruiting? Here's what I think is going to happen. College football, especially now that they're paying their players, is going to have to go to a 4 5 major conference type deal where those are going to be, it's like the NFL, right? You've got 6 divisions, or is it 8 divisions in the NFL now? And you take the best out of those divisions. I think the ACC, I think Notre Dame is going to end up playing in the ACC like they do for basketball, like they do for baseball, like they do for every other sport. And I think Notre Dame is going to go there. And that's going to be the team that everybody wants to go to in the ACC just because they're Notre Dame. And look, I know people talk bad about them because they're Notre Dame. People don't like Notre Dame. They don't like, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But it's still Notre Dame. And they win. Look, they win every year. I mean, you can't deny that. Even if they have a 2 or 3 loss season, with the schedule that they play, because they're non-committed school. I can't think of the term right now that they use. But because they don't have a conference, Notre Dame plays a really tough schedule year in and year out. I mean, there were years where they were going up against Michigan State, Michigan, USC, Boston College, and that's when all those teams were powerhouses. So even a 2 or 3 loss schedule was better than any SEC schedule you've ever seen. I think that Clemson having the same appeal no matter what, as long as Dabo stays there, because Dabo has that appeal. College football is all about your head coach. College football is all about, can your head coach recruit? Can your head coach appeal to players? And that's why you're going to see a lot of players from Oklahoma try to head out to USC now because of the coach. They went to Oklahoma because of Lincoln Riley. There's going to be some Notre Dame kids that try to go over to LSU because they wanted to play for Brian Kelly. Like, that's what college football is. It's a recruiting tool. I see Luke G has joined us. Let me bring him on. Luke, what is going on, brother?
What's going on, man? I don't even think I've talked to you since the Bears and Lions game.
Man, look. Can you guys find any more ways to lose a game?
It's so funny because I think the whole entire Bears nation was rooting for the damn Lions. I have so many. Listen, if you know how many people I know who hit me up and was like, "Listen, I'm putting all my prayers in. We need Matt Nagy to be gone." And I said, it's once DeAndre Swift went out, I was like, "Oh, we in trouble." That was the beginning of the end, and then the officiating. Not saying that it was bad, but that was going to be my hot topic for the day because I think it's something that needs to be addressed. But yeah, and also you were talking about the Seattle Seahawks. I'm also a Seahawks fan and I'm a Bucs fan as well, so I know exactly what's wrong with the Seattle Seahawks.
You be hanging out with our guy Drew by any chance, do you? He's got like 9 teams he roots for too.
I just, you know what it was is this: when I grew up, each one of those teams, the Lions, because I'm from Detroit.
Yep.
And then obviously that's what I saw the most of it. And as I got older, I fell in love with the Buccaneers. I just thought those creamsicle uniforms was lit. And then they had Doug Williams. And so it was like, all right, this is awesome. And then they had Tony Dungy. Oh, it's getting real good. Then they added, Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp's my favorite player. And I was like, oh, it's getting real good. And with Seattle, they had a bunch of good players on their team that I always respected, like Ricky Waters and Steve Atwater, and the list goes on and on. So it's always been that way for me. Where I liked them, they was always bottom feeding teams, and I never been a fan of like the team that wins all the time. I feel like that was too easy.
Yeah.
So, but the Seattle Seahawks, their biggest problem is so obvious that I don't think most fans want to believe that's what it is. And as much as they want to say, oh, it's Pete Carroll or is something wrong with Russell Wilson, their biggest problem is they went away from the original formula, which was to have a dominant run game and play defense and ask your quarterback to make a few plays here and there. And then they turned their back on that approach and decided to go with, well, it's Russell Wilson. He can do it all. But if you ask yourself this question and you're honest with yourself, what has Russell Wilson really won without a rushing attack? zipped, nada,
Well,
nothing.
yeah, and we've talked before on this show too. Myself and Buck and Tori, we've talked about how Russell Wilson for whatever reason, the first 8 games of the season, Russell Wilson is an MVP. The last 8 games of the season, Russell Wilson is nowhere to be found.
Because they're one dimensional, and as a Lions fan, I'm used to seeing a one dimensional team. And when you become one dimensional, that's when you lose. If you go back to when the Buccaneers won their first Super Bowl, it came on the heels of Michael Pittman getting going in the run game late, and a defense that can keep you off the field. And so with Russell Wilson, and this I try to explain it to a lot of people. Let's take Deshaun Watson. That man had an MVP season. Not the first half, not a straight MVP season, and the Texans won 4 games.
Yeah.
So the quarterback can only do so much because the quarterback position is so dependent upon so many other factors working for him to look good. The offensive line has to block. The receivers have to run routes and get open or get in a position to get the ball and make the catch. And so when you look at all those different factors, that's what you're starting to see with Russell Wilson. He can't sustain it being a one-man show. No more than the Titans can sustain a lot of their winning when all they can do is focus on the run. You have to have a niche for the most part, but then at a certain part, you have to be able to switch it up and make it count. And the Seattle Seahawks have failed to find, like, everybody loves Carson. I don't. Carson's not a running back who can create his own run. Carson's a running back that you give him a lane and he'll take it. When you have Marshawn Lynch, he will create his run. If that means running through you or around you, he was going to get it. And so they need to try to figure out how to find a running back that's that dynamic that complements Russell Wilson. And then they also got to get back to the basics on defense. You got 2 of the key pieces at the safety spot. That's good. You still got Wagner there. That's good. But your D-line can still use a little bit more fine-tuning.
Yeah.
And your cornerbacks need prayer.
The Seahawks, they kind of have that Lions ilk to them. You're not wrong. I mean, they find ways to lose games. Look, the Detroit Lions should have won that game on Thanksgiving Day.
They should have.
The Bears weren't good that day. They were terrible. They put up 16 points. Up 16 points and what? The Detroit Lions found a way to lose that game. It was just like, I don't understand. Like, I've watched the Detroit Lions a couple games this year. And like this team is not an 0-win. They're not the 11-win team that Buck thinks that they are, but they're about a 5 to 6 win team.
They're more than that. If you go through right now, they've played 11 games, right?
Yeah.
All right. Only 2 out of those 11 they had no chance. The Bengals and the Eagles. Only 2.
Yeah.
So if you decide to take out the 49ers game, which I think it's opening day, they had a slow start, but let's take that game out. So that's 3 losses. They still, even at that point, would be in the mix if they had won the other games. You're talking about the close game against the tie if the kicker makes a freaking kick against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're talking about the Browns, if they could just run the ball, they got into a little pass happy. I don't know what made them decide to get pass happy with Tim Boyle, which brings me to another point. Why are you putting Tim Boyle in, who's been on IR all season, over a guy who's been taking snaps in David Blau the whole time? But that's another story.
Well, they were going to start. They were going to start Boyle though too.
They did in the Browns game.
Oh, in the Browns game, yeah.
In the Browns game, they
were.
Also,
in the Bears game, yeah.
Yeah, they like his arm, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
But if you look at a lot of these games, in my viewpoint, if you hold a team under 20, you should win the game. And the Lions have done it 6 times. At least they've had at least 6 games where it's been 1 possession or less, and that's a huge problem. But in the case of Seattle, even when Russell Wilson was out, they still had Geno Smith throwing the ball like Russell Wilson wasn't out.
Right.
Like, Pete, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, it's Geno freaking Smith. What has he ever done? So the Seattle Seahawks are in an unusual position right now because they're no longer listening to those same rah-rah messages from Pete Carroll. They're not listening to that because that stuff is not working no more. And their biggest problem is Russell Wilson, which I'm happy he got his money, but yeah, you're part of the problem, buddy.
Yeah.
You wanted that money, you got it. You should have figured out how to do it like Tom Brady. You'd have been better off.
And you play in a really strong division.
Right.
But the problem is they can't even blame that as to why they're not that good right now, because they've only played 2 divisional opponents so far. They played the Rams once and they played the Niners once. And they beat the Niners.
That was I was happy they won. I'm gonna put it like that. I'm sorry,
they played the Cardinals once too. So they played 3 divisional games.
But the reality is without that rushing attack, everything else don't work. The defense don't work. They need some dogs on defense. If I was them, I'll be reeing up on all kind of dogs on defense because you need some D linemen that can do some damage. And right now, they're just okay.
But if I had told you preseason, look, the Cardinals are going to be a good team, you would have believed me, right?
Yeah.
And if I would have said, look, heading into week 9, Colt McCoy is going to be their starting quarterback. They're going to walk into Seattle and win by 10 points.
Oh yeah, I would have laughed at you. And I'm a Colt McCoy fan. I would have laughed.
Yeah.
I like the Colt McCoy since he left Texas, but I'm telling you, I'd have been like, the hell they are with Colt McCoy. No.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, because
that's exactly what happened to the Seahawks.
Their defense is the defense. You got to think when they had the Legion of Boom. Everybody talks about the Legion of Boom, but what people don't realize is even on the Legion of Boom, most of their play came from the DBs and the linebackers. They added Cliff Averill later.
Yep.
They had a Bruce Irvins and they had these other guys out there, but for the most part, their D line wasn't doing a lot of work. They were getting in the way so linebackers can make plays, and the cornerbacks were beating the brakes off of you. I remember they had the biggest defensive backfield that one year where even with the height of Earl Thomas, with Cam Chancellor, with Browning and Richard Sherman, you just couldn't throw the ball.
See, this is still a good defense too, though. I mean, this defense too, just like you were talking about the Lions, this defense has only allowed more than 20 points 4 times this season.
Right, but see,
they're 3-8.
The offense is so one-dimensional now. Nobody is sitting up there like, shut down the run. And Russell Wilson, to his strength and detriment, he's not running the ball like he was. Remember old vintage Russell Wilson would be like, nothing's there. Let's run here and run there and get over here and throw the ball. No, not no more.
Yeah.
Not no more. And it's a problem. And I suspect that they will move on from, or I would say Russell Wilson will actually be traded and will do what he can to get up out of there. He wants to go to a bigger market. He got his wife in his ear. She's out here nasty grinding on him and everything. And so when she tells him I want to go to a bigger market, they're like, okay. And I'm telling you, don't be surprised if he makes his way to somewhere like New York, one of those New York teams, whether it's the Jets or the Giants. That's a big market for him. Another team I can see him making his way to market-wise is the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I will say the 49ers, but that's going to take some real clever trading and some huge confidence. So
yeah, it'd be interdivisional too.
Yeah, and so you're talking about something that's probably not going to happen. But the biggest problem is they don't have that rushing attack. It's just not there. And until they get that rushing attack back, it doesn't matter.
That's why I would say I would have been excited to have had when they were talking about it, before they drafted Justin Fields was about going to get Russell. There was huge talk about Russell Wilson coming to the Bears in a trade. I think Russell Wilson would have had this. This would have been a playoff team with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I would have been real pissed. I would have came back to reality because Matt Nagy for some reason don't stick to the run no way. So he would have showcased the hell out of Russell.
I don't know what the hell's going on in the chat right now. They're talking about Louisville and how they're a great sports team, and then I see this, and I like this just threw me for a loop just now. It said Google the NCAA titles in swimming, men's and girls soccer, football. Like what?
Louisville was one of the
In
schools
swimming?
I considered. It was one of the schools I considered when I was getting recruited, and the only reason I didn't want to go there is because when I went to Louisville for a visit, I was like, "Oh, this is all beautiful." They showed me all the beautiful parts, and I was like, "Well, what happens when you get past this?" I was like, "Oh, fuck! It's like all like land." And I was like, "Nope, don't do this. I'm a city boy. Don't do farmland. Nope, don't do woods and nothing like that. Nope." You know, so I just I just stay away from it. But yeah, I mean, and also I heard you talking about the Tigers and that thing called the salary cap or the lack thereof, and I'm like, this is why sports is not able to compete with the NFL.
They went out and got Javier Baez today.
Yeah, I know.
That was good get for them. You're going to enjoy it. Do you watch? Are you a baseball guy at all?
I watch baseball if it's the Tigers.
Yeah. If you're going to have a lot of fun watching. Look, Javier Baez is going to piss you off a lot because he's going to swing at a lot of balls. You're just like, did you really just swing at that? But when he's on defense, man, the guy is just pure magic. The guy is just pure magic on the base paths or when he's out in the field with the glove on his hand. He is pure. You're going to have a lot of fun watching him. 6 years, 162 million isn't that bad either.
Well, a lot of the Tigers fans here really wanted to get what is
Correa?
Correa. Yeah, they wanted Correa really bad, and they felt that you could have gave that same deal to Correa, but I'm like, did it ever occur to somebody that Correa was like, I'm not coming to Detroit?
Correa wants $325 million. He's not going below 325. That's why I think his only option right now is the Yankees, but he pissed off all of Yankees fans when he said that Derek Jeter didn't earn his gold gloves, which he's right. By the way, he's right.
I'm gonna leave that topic alone. Every time somebody says something about Derek Jeter, it's like talking about LeBron James or Jordan.
Derek Jeter's the most overrated defensive player of all time.
Okay. You gonna step into that mud on your own?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not joining you.
I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it all day long. Look, Derek Jeter. If I had to pick a captain for my team, I'd pick Derek Jeter. If I had to pick a guy to come up with a hit in the clutch, I'd pick Derek Jeter. If I needed somebody to go 4 for 4 for me on any given day, I'd pick Derek Jeter. If I need somebody to stop a ground ball that's more than 5 feet away from him, I'm not picking Derek Jeter.
But I think earlier you was hitting a lot of the nails on the head when you was talking about the salary and I'm like yeah, a lot of these other sports leagues don't survive and don't really compete with the NFL because most people know that in the NFL those guys really got to perform because that money ain't guaranteed. You're trying to get that big deal, and I really think that the MLB needs to adopt a salary cap. I know they don't want to.
See, I disagree. I kind of disagree. I'm okay if they do get a cap. I'm fine with it. Whatever they want to make it, I'm fine with that. Each team, like I said, grosses $3 billion a year. So if they spend $300 million, I mean that's a tenth of what you make. So I'm fine with that, but they need to have a floor. There's no reason why the Pittsburgh Pirates salary this year, combined salary of their entire team, is $41.2 million. That's $2.2 million less than what Max Scherzer is going to make this season.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons why I think to me, if it was me, I would put a cap, and I would shorten the season by a few games. I know people hate when I say that, but I'm like, there's a different beast when people know that there's more at risk. Like when you're sitting there, you playing a series against the Yankees, and you beat them like, oh, I beat you 5 times out of 6 games. I'm clearly better than you. And then all of a sudden you turn around and end up in the playoffs and they don't smash you. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so for me, I just look at it and I'm like, I would like to see that more in sports, like even the NBA. I never heard the word load management until recent NBA. Back in the day, every game you played, your knees was hurting, so what? Your wrist was tore up, tape it up. Now
I got you.
load management. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy, man, and it's strange that they don't have caps. But when they do decide to do that, I think they'll take over and get back to being number one sport in America.
They'll have one after this CBA lockout is over. They're gonna win that one. They're gonna get a cap. One Pride here wants to know what you think of Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly taking new coaching jobs. Are you a college football guy?
I watch enough when it comes to the draft, and
Okay.
I watch a whole lot of Texas football and a whole lot of Michigan State football. And my attitude to it is I'm disappointed in Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, particularly more so Lincoln Riley, because you made a whole fuss, if I'm not mistaken, about players leaving and they don't have to commit and all this other stuff, and you don't like the portal, and then here you go. Soon as you get a chance, the game wasn't even fully over. I'm out of here. Welcome to USC. Woo!
It was a payday. It was a payday. Look, Brian Kelly, to his credit, last week in an interview said, "I'm not leaving Notre Dame," but he took the words right out of God. Why can't I think of his name right now? The Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin. Well, Mike Tomlin said, "Look, I'm not leaving Pittsburgh, but if somebody came to my door with a $250 million check, I'd have to at least check with my wife." And somebody came to Brian Kelly's door with $100 million, and that was USC. And Brian Kelly, look, I'm okay with it, mostly because I'm a Notre Dame fan. And Brian Kelly has a way of getting this team to 12-0 or 11-1, and then just completely flaming out in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I think it would be great, and I said this earlier in the show. I think it would be great if Brian Kelly, who's not going to coach, and Notre Dame makes the college football playoff, and Brian Kelly's not going to coach in the college football playoff. If the interim head coach went and won a national championship with Notre Dame, that to me would be the ultimate send-off.
Also, I don't think that Brian Kelly is going to win that backyard recruiting like those other coaches were doing at LSU. See, when you go and you talk to Ed sounded like he came from Louisiana. You see what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah,
but here comes Brian Kelly. I don't know if you win those backyard matchups. It's one of the reasons why Michigan State keep beating Michigan, because they win the backyard recruit. They get the guys that's here in Michigan. They get the people from Ohio, and then they turn around.
Brian Kelly's a recruiter, though. Brian Kelly, there's a reason why Notre Dame's able to be 11-1 every year, and that's because Brian Kelly is a good recruiter.
But I just question if it's going to resonate with a lot of the Southern boys when you look at the way he's going to be playing, and they're used to playing a little bit faster. I don't know if he adapts to that, but I could be wrong. I just in my opinion, it's disappointing to see people just you complain about everything. Players getting paid, the portal, and then the first chance you get. I mean, it's just hypocritical in my opinion.
That's college football, though. You know what I mean? That's what I would like to see college football do is allow players to do it, though. I want to see them allow players to do the same thing, because they make players wait a season. They make players sit out a year. They don't allow players to do the same jumping that the coaches get to do.
Well, like I said, it's one of the things that I just look at. I know that One Pride 40 also asks about Tuck contract extension. He deserves it.
Yeah.
When you're beating teams and never had a recruiting class and never had an off season, and you still come in and beat teams, I take it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is.
How do you feel about Bama being in the top 4?
It has to happen, because
why does it have to happen? Luke G, come on, don't lose me now.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you why. It has to happen for them to justify this trash 4-team playoff. And the reason that they're trying to justify this 4-team playoff is because if they do a playoff without Alabama, ratings is not going to be what it was. They need the ratings. What? That's the money. I think it's a money grab. That's why I think they're in there. So if you're doing it from a business aspect, it has to happen. Now, from a football fan aspect, I don't understand how they made it. I don't.
They're not even in the top 8, if you ask me.
And they struggled with some teams that I'm not even sure you should be struggling with if you Alabama. Like, you got enough people on your roster that you have 3 and 4 players with the same number. How are you struggling with some of those teams and having all this hardship with some of these teams? But I also think that overall what you're saying is money politics at its best, because you're going to always get a big draw on the TV ratings. You're going to always get a draw on the ticket sales when you put Alabama in the mix. It's just like New England.
I get it. I don't understand. Like, how do you tell a school like Notre Dame, whose only loss is to a top 4 team, and I get what they've done in the playoffs, and I get how they flame out every year, but they've only lost one game and it's to a top 4 team. How are you going to tell them that their loss is worse than Alabama's one loss versus an unranked team? How their other wins are going to be worse than a win that took them another unranked team 4 overtimes to beat? They only beat. Oh, and Buck's here with his nonsense. Here we go. But it's not.
No, but
it's not the same when a team is going to Stanford, and I know Stanford's not a premier team anymore. But you go to Stanford and you win the way Notre Dame just won, versus watching how Alabama struggled versus an unranked Auburn team. You can't tell them that win is less than what Alabama just did. Same thing with Oklahoma State. What did Oklahoma State just do? How is Oklahoma State behind Alabama?
Luke, let me handle this lightweight for you because
oh my God,
Combs is absolutely ridiculous. Do you want to know why?
Babysitting.
Yes, the boys are in bed. I got the melatonin in their mouths. We're good to go. No, I'm totally kidding. But do you want to know why Alabama is in front of those school, Combs? Do you really want to know why? It's all because they're in a conference. If Notre Dame were to join a freaking conference, they would be in the top 4.
Cincinnati's in the conference. Oklahoma State's in the conference.
Cincinnati is in the top 4. What do you want from them?
I would have been better. I would have been more happy with college football playoff rankings if they would have kept Ohio State in the top 4.
Why? Because they lost to a number 6 team?
They lost to a number 5 team. They lost.
No. Number 6.
2 versus 5.
Number 6.
No, they were number 5.
It was 3 and 6.
It was 2 versus 5. Stupid.
No. What rankings do you look at, Combs?
The college football playoff rankings,
which is absolutely wrong. Look at AP rankings, son. God, college football.
The AP rankings don't matter when it comes to the college football playoff. Stupid.
But listen,
have a college football playoff
Notre
ranking.
Dame will never be good and never be relevant again, just because of the point that I made earlier tonight, Combs. This is the exact reason. This weekend, December 4th or 5th or whatever freaking day it is going to be, every top team in college is going to be playing on Saturday, but Notre Dame. Do you want to know why? It's called Conference Championships games, Combs. Alabama's going to be there. Georgia's going to be there. Who else is there? Oklahoma
You've been on
State.
the show for 35 seconds, and I already want to kick you off.
Well, you know what? You cannot kick me off because you know I am exactly right. And Drew, I'm going to get your comment here in like a little bit, but I have to digress here and let Luke take the floor because.
Tell me I can't kick you off. Bye, son. Luke G, you tell me. You tell me. you tell me why Alabama is in the top 4.
Listen, I told you I think it's politics, and overall, it's a better game. I do think he makes a very good point about the conference part, but that money is what makes the world go around. And to me, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get ratings and TV deals and more revenues, and I'd rather see Alabama than to say Ohio State. You know, like I'm not acting like Stroud is out here tearing it up at the quarterback position. So okay, you know, and you see them just get dominated via run by Michigan. So it's like not a good look. With Alabama, you know, at the very least, even if Alabama lose, people either one or two things: they love Alabama to death, or they hate them to death. Either way, I'm watching.
Nobody outside of Alabama likes Alabama or their sister, okay?
In Texas, you have Mike LeBlanc.
See? Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. Like
Mike LeBlanc's also a Cowboys and a Packers fan, if that puts anything in perspective for you.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I think when you look at Alabama overall, it's cash grab, man. You can't even get around it because think about it. Why not expand the playoff? All these college football teams playing. Why not expand it?
They're already talking about expanding it, and why I think it's like I think they have to wait till the contract is over with the
2023.
2023. But they're going to expand it. They have talks to expand it. It should have been expanded a long time ago. I mean, I'll tell you this much though: the 4-team college football playoff is way better than what they used to do, which is vote for the national champion, right?
Right. Do you guys want to know what's really going to happen this weekend? This amazing college football season that we've had so far. Alabama's going to beat Georgia. It is going to be a blowout game. Iowa is going to blow out Michigan, and then Ole Miss somehow is going to sneak into the top 4, guys. And this is what we're going to have. We're going to have Georgia we'll probably have Cincinnati at number 1, Georgia number 2, Bama number 3, and Ole Miss at number 4. Why? SEC bias, baby.
Luke, this is what I deal with on an everyday basis, Luke.
But this is a drug-free show. This is an absolute drug-free show.
I'm high on life, baby. All day, every day.
This man came in here wearing Kansas City Royals gear like he's ever seen a baseball in his life. And
he said, I would be shocked if Alabama beats Georgia.
Alabama. Dude, Auburn had 9 sacks.
I know.
You know how many sacks Georgia's going to have?
0 because all other linebackers are raping white girls. They're getting suspended.
Oh my
God! He said 0. They got enough players that they don't even matter.
Was that too soon?
Just a little bit. It's a little. It's a little bit too soon. One of the topics I definitely want to hit on was officiating. I've been doing some research and I've been paying attention to the last few couple of weeks, and I've noticed in a number of games where the game should be determined by the teams, they are in fact being determined by the officials. And I'm starting to get a little irritated by it because I'm starting to see some things that's making me want to go, in the words of Peter Griffin, this is what really grinds my gears. Every single play can easily be called for a hold, could be called for all type of stuff. I mean, hell, most of us have jobs where there's something we did wrong that a supervisor can write you up about, right? And at the end of the day, you have to be able to let some people do what they do. And, another quote that I always love and my wife always tells me is sometimes you got to let radio be radio. And I'm just saying that the officiating as of late is too damn involved. They're too involved with the game's outcomes. Some of these calls that I'm seeing all the way from the Dallas game to the Lions and Bears game, I'm like, you're just calling everything. They was calling, how do we have a better offensive line than the Bears but get more holding calls? And then when I'm watching people get tackled when the Bears are trying to block, nothing. And then when they do call it, it wasn't even a hold. It wasn't. I'm like, what is this? And I'm watching this happen and unfold, and I've come to the conclusion that the NFL is in the same business as the NCAA, and that is to influence games in a way to get the best outcomes for revenues. Because some of these games that I'm watching should not come down to a referee's decision. Like, let's be honest. Did they really have to call the 5-yard penalty when he called the second time out? Nope. They didn't have to do that, but they did anyway. In the game against the Dallas Cowboys, all them pass interference calls, I watched every single one of them. I think one of them was a guaranteed pass interference. The rest of them, I'm like, what is this? And it's been this way for the last few weeks, and I finally have grown disgusted by it because I think games should be determined by the teams going head up. This officiating being too involved is becoming too much. And the reality is this: as long as the league allows this to go on, you're going to end up tampering and watering down a product that is great. You're going to make it miserable. You're going to make it dry, and you're going to make it undesirable because nobody wants to watch a game and have the officials determine the outcome. And that's what we're seeing over the last few weeks with the officiating. It's terrible. It's 100% something that should be eliminated. And we need to start having more better checks and balances when it comes to these officials and some of these calls. Because I'm seeing some phantom stuff that I'm not even sure even happened. Unless somebody got on like some special goggles to catch Casper the Friendly Ghost doing it. I don't know who in the hell they looking at because it's not showing up. And so that's pretty much the topic I want to talk about. Because I know it's not just me. Is it also with you guys where you're seeing the officials simply too involved in these games' outcomes? Or is it just me? Have I lost my mind?
No, look, the officiating league-wide has been atrocious. I mean, well, I've watched games. Let's take a game that I watched very closely, which was the Bears and the Steelers game. That game was handed to the Steelers by the referees.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
handed
another
to
one.
them.
I'm like, what in the keep going?
I mean, the amount of penalties, but the big one that got me was the referee that threw a hip check and then called the guy for taunting 5 minutes after he said he was taunting him. And then he threw a hip check to make contact. Stop it. Stop with the taunting calls in the NFL. Like,
hey, I'm the man.
Stop with the taunting in the NFL. It's the NFL. Stop it. You were taunting. What did you do? Did you hurt their feelings?
Yeah.
Just stop. It's so stupid. The NFL, they try to find ways to stop. Like, remember a couple years ago, you couldn't celebrate in the end zone, right? So now walking towards a bench after a sack, staring down the bench, that's taunting. But if you create a fumble, you recover a fumble, your entire freaking team runs into the end zone and does some sort of dance, but that's not taunting?
Yep.
That is taunting.
They have food. They have food. I've never in my life seen anything like this where, like he said, they get a turnover or something. The whole team runs to the end zone and have full out dance routines like they're on breaking or something. Everybody's pop locking and dancing. And I'm like, that's not taunting. And then what they do is they take the long way around and they celebrate as a whole team. But how
about the one last weekend that I saw? I forget which game it was, but the running back's running into the end zone and he points at the defender as he's coming to him. And they call him for a taunting.
That was a Chiefs game.
Yeah, that's a Chiefs game.
I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
They're getting soft. And I think that the idea that they are going to continue to affect games' outcomes it makes the games unwatchable.
And then the NFL defends it. They defend it. They say there was nothing wrong with the way that official handled that hip check that he threw, and it is so bad, and it's so obviously bad, and the NFL still defending it makes it even worse.
I mean, go back to the Lions versus Ravens, the delay a game that was never called.
Yeah,
right. Or you go back a little bit further to the first game of the season where I believe it was the Lions versus the 49ers, and there should have been a holding penalty call, but instead of them calling a holding penalty, they just said, you know what, we didn't see it, and the guy was standing right there looking at it.
What about the loss against the Ravens? I mean, they had the Ravens pinned back, and then wasn't it a roughing the passer call or something stupid?
They had quite a few calls in there that I thought was stupid, but that was still one of the games I thought the Lions could have won. But yeah, that delay of game was a huge one, and I know that the roughing the passer one came in and they kept a drive going. In fact, in that game on Thanksgiving, I went back and looked at it. Most of the drives, because the Bears managed to take off 8 minutes and 30 seconds on that clock out of 840. Most of those drives were extended on penalties.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've let you guys talk and bash my NFL referees there, but
oh my god, of course you're the NFL referees. You're just as stupid as they are.
So here are three things that you guys are failing to mention here. One, Luke G kind of touched on it. He said every play there could in theory be a holding call. Absolutely correct on that 100%. Number two, referees are humans, Combs. You've been screaming for an automated strike zone in Major League Baseball for how long? So people are humans. They make mistakes. Number three, when a coach pisses me off, that flag gets a little bit deeper in my pocket. Let's just be flat.
These are mistakes. These are mistakes. These are. I'm about to lose my bet. I'm about to lose my over that I had on this game. So here, let me throw this flag real quick.
So
and it does seem like that.
So basically, what we all want here is we want a consistency. We want a consistent strike zone. We want a consistent holding call. We want a consistent pass interference call. If you want to go back to that Dallas Cowboys game where there's 28 flags, the most flags.
Let's go to that Cowboys game. How about the one that they threw the flag and then they went to go start the play and they blew the whistle again and said, oh, wait, now after thinking about it, there was actually also a face mask. What do you mean after thinking about it?
Yeah.
There was also how do you throw a penalty after the penalty? You don't get to go back and redo it.
Nope. Nope. And take it a step further. And
You want it right.
Talking about the automated part. Why in the NFL at this point you don't have like an actual delay of game buzzer like a shot clock? Where's that at? You just trusted on human to look up at the clock when he's trying to also focus on play. Take that out of his hands. Put like
how about a buzzer like in the NBA?
Right.
That's what you just said. No, but I do think so. All the referees have earpieces in there, and they're getting calls from the eye in the sky, whatever the hell they're calling it, right? So I'm sure there's like, hey, we're down to 5-4, and that back judge has to look up at the clock, watch it go down to 0, and then go back down. So technically, it's a 41-second clock. So like. I mean, mistakes are made. Sorry, Detroit Lions fans. You should just block the field goal.
Oh, wow! You really went there today. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us pray.
Luke, I've been riding your Lions all damn season for the last 2 seasons, the last 36 games.
What do you mean block the field goal? You can't block the field. First of all, blocking the field goal is a low percentage. It's a low percentage play. It doesn't happen often. And what I'm pointing out is this: it's not even just the Lions game. It's multiple games where the refs are too damn involved.
The Dallas Cowboys game, yes, 100%. That game drug out like 6 hours as it seemed like. Absolutely ridiculous. But then those same flags that are thrown on Sunday or Thursday afternoon last night when we saw or Sunday night, was it Sunday night or Monday night? I can't remember now. When we saw the Ravens and Cleveland play, that same pass interference call that's called on Thursday afternoon was not called on Monday night. What was up with that? Yeah. I mean, it's just like we just want consistency. Like I don't care if you're flag happy. I mean, just like in the NBA, a foul in the first 20 minutes of the game is a foul in the last 60 seconds of the game. I hate this swallow the whistle crap and let them play. A foul's a foul. Just freaking call it.
I'm cool with you calling a foul, but okay, I can
call it consistently though.
What if it? Let's change that around, right? What if it's at the end of the game? You know how they do those Hail Mary plays. Yep. You can easily call the pass interference every single time.
It should be. Some of those are freaking ridiculous.
Right, but they don't because they don't want to, in theory, change the outcome of the game. Well, don't decide to get there now and hold your flag. If you're going to be consistent, throw it. If it's a pass interference, it's a pass interference.
So, in theory, you are changing the outcome of the game because the defenders know they're not going to get a flag called on them unless they absolutely tackle the guy 5 seconds be a forehand, and even then, it's still a judgment call.
I'm trying to remember. It was a weird call called on a center recently, and I'm not even sure what happened. I want to say
a false start on everybody but the center or something like that.
It was something like it was like a false start, or it was something weird. And I was like, "Wait, what just happened?"
Oh no! I know exactly what you're talking about. They called a false start on the center because he snapped the ball and nobody else moved. How is that a false start? That's not a false start. Okay, I get all.
The ball was snapped, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, yo, y'all killing me with this right now. I don't even know what this is. It's getting to the point where it's so ridiculous that I'm waiting to see who's going to actually do the Geico commercial and pull up with a stroller and act like it's a baby in it for a trick play. It's getting that bad. He said the Lions, the shame. We were vibing this whole time, Combs. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. I'm just saying it's getting to the point though where too many games is getting decided by officiating. And I'm not sure that it should go that way. And I'm also noticing this too, where I'm noticing that officials are throwing flags and then seeing the replay because, when you at home, they quickly show you the replay and then they're changing their minds on the fly. There's no flag on the play. Well, you threw it for a reason. If they didn't show that replay, what was you going to do? So, like I said, it's these little things. And as a Lions fan, don't nobody know what it's like to get crapped on by the officials. When a delay of game didn't happen, we got an apology. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry doesn't give you the win back. And speaking of sorry, Lucci, I didn't allow Buck to come into the show. He kind of let himself into the show. So I that's my defense there. But yeah, I mean the apologies are meaningless. Oh, sorry that we blew the game for you. Oh, cool. Well, are you gonna put the W back now? What if you gave me an apology? I missed the playoffs by 1 game.
Well, but that happened. Remember that happened to
Yeah.
the pass interference against the Saints or something like that.
Yes.
And it cost them
in the NFC title game.
That ball was tipped.
Stop
What?
it, Buck.
The only
We saw the replay. It was like
The ball. Yeah, the ball was tipped by the receiver 5 minutes after the freaking the defender hit him, and then the defender said in the post game interview, "Yeah, I had to hit him early, otherwise he was going to catch the ball."
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
So Luke, before we let you go, let me ask you 2 questions here. Give me short answers here. Do you want a computerized referee for NFL football?
No. But I do want technology to be more involved to where it's done right and more consistently.
See, and I think that is where it is a flawed system, is because the referees are taught to swallow and like not blow the play dead when the play is clearly dead.
Sounds like my
rely
ex-wife.
on technology to make the correct call.
Yeah, but when I can make a whole 37-minute video of just bad calls against the Lions, and that's not even including the other teams, it's a problem. You know, we've had plays. I remember it was a play. I want to say it was Brian Orakpo who was finna sack the quarterback, and he grabbed him and he held him for a minute, and he let him go because he thought they were gonna blow a whistle because he wasn't nowhere for him to go. Where he takes off and run and gets a first or a touchdown or something like that a while ago. And then they had another play happen similar with Jason Pierre-Paul did the same thing, got back there and let him go. But then there's other times where as soon as a person touched Tom Brady, whistles is blown. They coming out with the man of arms and He-Man to back him up. Hey, back up. You know, and it's ridiculous. And I'm just saying I want more consistency. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I think we all want that in the end.
How about Kirk Cousins lining up behind the wrong center this weekend? Anybody see that?
That won't be the first time he's done it.
The center, they're playing against the 49ers. The centers went up, everybody's on the line, and he went up behind the tackle.
It
was set up behind the tackle, and the running back's behind the center, and the running back's like, over here.
They should have put him in concussion protocol to that, but that ain't the first time he's done that. He's trying to quickly get a read and get into the huddle, and get things done. But yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. But you know, it's, like I said, I sat up there and I was sitting there. I was thinking about the topics that really, like you said, like I said, grind my gears. So I'm like, yo, this refereeing is doing too much in my opinion.
That's terrible. It is terrible around all sports. I complained about it in baseball year round. I've watched a lot of hockey this year. I'm a big hockey guy. I like the refereeing in hockey is terrible right now too. But it's just I don't know what it is. I don't know if officials just don't care because hey, if I get it wrong, replay will get it right. But you're not allowed to replay penalties. You're not allowed to replay, certain things. So replay doesn't always correct your mistakes.
Yeah, even targeting in college, I've noticed a few targeting. I'm like, that's targeting.
Yeah,
like that's targeting. Like,
there's been some really bad targetings
in their defense for that is all reviewed upstairs. So they don't make the final calls on the field at all. For that. No, it's all gone back to
it's still the wrong call regardless.
Yeah. But that is not the on-field officials. That is like the player safety coordinator, associate director, CEO, right, or something crazy like that.
Yeah, but they're not taking into account height differences. Like for example, the guy from Alabama, was it Alabama or was it Georgia? I'm trying to think. Jesus, they was trying to get him for a targeting, and I'm like, he's 6'4". How much lower can he get on a guy that's 5'10"? Like seriously.
Yeah.
How?
Luke G, before we let you go, I got a question for you. We played this game on this show called Way or No Way, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you ever heard it, but we do a little topic, then you tell me whether or not it's a way or a no way. So before you get out of here, I need a way or a no way. The Bears are going to do something stupid, like make a run and back into the playoffs and end up keeping Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace this season.
No way.
Thank you. Thank God.
No way. It's no way.
That's what Buck thinks is going to happen.
No, it's no way. They barely beat the Lions.
How about this?
They're
How
gonna
about
get
this?
destroyed by the Cardinals.
It is a no way. Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace both get fired from the Chicago Bears. They are both not even fired for 24 hours. The Lions clean house, fire Dan Campbell, and hire both of them.
What? yeah. Buck's been drinking today. We do apologize for the use of alcohol.
You know what? I did say though, Luke. I said that I'm a Notre Dame fan. You know what's going to piss me off is the Bears are going to fire Matt Nagy. He's going to go to Notre Dame.
Wow!
And then lead him for a national championship.
Right, Luke. I will jump off a bridge.
Well, rumor has it that some Lions fans want Matt Nagy as offensive coordinator when they get rid of Anthony Lynn. And
oh boy,
we're gonna leave it at that.
Good luck,
Luke. Tell the people where they can find you at, boss.
Hey, you can find me on Luke G's Field Review on YouTube, also at Phil G's on Twitter and on Instagram. You can check me out on Luke G's Field Review at gmail.com if you want to just send me email inquiries. Talk all things Detroit Lions football, but I'm always coming over here talking pretty much anything else. Also, I would like to do this too. Offer condolences. I don't know if y'all know, but one of our members passed away on November 26th. And then recently today, we had a school shooting here in Michigan that left 3 students aged 16, 14, and I want to say, it was 16, 14, and 17. Left 3 of them dead, 8 others injured. So condolences to their families, them friends, and prayers to them. But yeah, pretty much I do all things, Lions football. Once we get to maybe about week 17, I'll talk draft and have fun with it, do film study. So, but I wanted to make sure I gave those condolences to Jim and to the victims of Oxford High School here in Michigan in that terrible school shooting.
Absolutely. Condolences go out to them. Luke G, my condolences go out to you. I'm sorry Buck had to come in and interrupt our mojo. I apologize. I won't let that happen again.
Man. It's all good. So it's always a fun time coming in and hearing Buck say something that's going to make me go, what the hell did he just say? Can never fail. Appreciate you, gentlemen, as always. Y'all have a good one, all right?
Have a good one.
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to be full screen. That's weird. There you go.
All right, we're gonna go to. You want to go to a break, or what do you want to do?
No, man. Let's just roll with it.
We just want to roll with it. All right, let's just roll with it then.
Fuck those rules.
Yeah. Oh. So Monday Night Football, happened. What in the hell
did it happen?
Is wrong with the Seahawks?
What the hell is wrong with them? Is I honestly, Combs, I think Russell Wilson came back too early. Now, because it was his middle finger on his throwing hand, if I'm not mistaken, right? And I'm no quarterback expert by any means, but the middle finger is used for a wide variety of things, Combs, from, we're not going to go there, but to really get torque on the ball, you use that middle finger and your pointer finger to really get that zip on the ball, right? And this finger right here, Combsy, see how I can't bend it anymore? Here, let me get to the camera. Like, I can only bend it there. Like, I can't bend that top part. I had a pin in there, and it fused together, and it just, it has never been the same. And anytime you have any type of surgery on your body, ankle, leg, ACL, shoulder, etc., your body is never the same. Russell Wilson is, 33 years old. He got a twerk dance from his wife or whatever, right? And he just came back too early. And when you come back too early, you are not confident in yourself. Pete Carroll's 85 years old. His hype is starting to wear on everybody. It's just, hey man, just act your age, just coach us. And right now, I think the foundation of the Seattle Seahawks is crumbling as we see it. Yeah. They tried to build back the Legion of Boom or the Boom 2.0, and they spent too much money on that. They spent too much money on Russ, and they don't have any money to protect him. So yeah, he's getting hit. He came back too early, right? And I think the mojo of Pete Carroll just finally wore off. It's time to make some changes.
Pete Carroll's always been at his best when Pete Carroll has enough weapons to try to be too cute, right? Because that's always been the stigma for Pete Carroll, is that he's the smartest guy in the room as soon as he walks in the room, and he's going to try to just be smarter than you. not beat you, but just be, he could like the play that cost them the Super Bowl against New England, right? Everybody from the 1 yard line knows you're going to run it. So what does Pete do? He gets too cute, tries to pass it, and they throw an interception and they lose the Super Bowl. When all you had to do was run it with the best running back from the 1 yard line in the history of the NFL. Like, it made zero sense.
Don't go that far, Combs. Come on, man.
Oh, from the 1 yard line, he's the best running back in the history of the NFL.
No, I'll take Marcus Allen over him.
You're okay. Good luck. But Pete Carroll doesn't have that luxury right now. You can't get cute. If you want to get cute, what you have to do is you have to game plan to your strengths, and that's not what Pete Carroll is good at. That's not what Pete Carroll can do. That's not Pete Carroll's style. And that's what's wrong with the Seattle Seahawks. You're right. It's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is exactly what's wrong with the Seahawks. They need a change of scenery. And I think they're going to get it. I think Pete Carroll's out after the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like, if he's not forced out, is definitely a mutual parting, right? And he just needs to ride off into the sunset, enjoy time with his kids, not try to go to Houston or any of these other teams that we looking for head because like he's seriously what, like 82 years old or something like that. Like he is the oldest coach in the NFL, and I'm not for sure if he can relate to players like DK like anymore, or Jamal Adams, or those type of guys. It's just like those are the type of players that are coming up in the NFL, the TikTok dancing and all that other crap, and he still has a flip phone, I bet. I mean, let's just be honest.
It's true. It's true. So the Washington football team, the winners of last night's Monday Night Football game, any chance they back into the playoffs?
Oh, well, looking at the playoff picture right now here, I believe they're sitting at number 8, I think it is, or something to that effect. Let me pull up because they are 6 and 7 or something like that right now. They're sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're sitting at 7th. They're sitting in the final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7. They're 5 and 6 right now on a 3-game winning streak over the Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Seahawks. Now, you can say what you want about the Panthers, but that was Cam Newton's first game home. Emotions were high. Ron Rivera was back at Carolina for the first time, and they lost CMC for the rest of the year. Right, but like that wasn't that game, was it? But like either way, the I'm back, Superman's back. That was a very highly emotional game, right? Yeah. So looking forward here, they have the Raiders, which the Raiders are not falling off like we thought they normally do after week 8. That could be a good game, and it's at Las Vegas, and then they play the Cowboys twice, the Eagles twice, and then the Giants to end the season. Those last 6 games are all divisional games, Combs. And whether you want to say it or not, divisional games are the hardest games to play just because you play each other twice. I mean, they play the Cowboys and Eagles back-to-back weeks. Cowboys, Eagles. So that is going to be a very, very tough stretch. So for them to back their way into the playoffs, they have to beat the Raiders, they have to beat the Giants, and they have to split with the Eagles and Cowboys. Either get 2 from each or like 1 from each. And I could see that happening. I see them beating the Eagles. We don't know who the Eagles are. The Giants, like at this point, Daniel Jones is he will probably be out because he is a day-to-day now with like a foot injury. The Eagles can't catch COVID in a crowded mosh pit, and then the Raiders, the Raiders are just the Raiders. So yeah, back them into the playoffs, and this is a team that you don't want to face in the playoffs either, Combs. This is a team that, like last year, that they're going to give Tampa Bay Buccaneers a run. Whoever is that, second or third seed, look out. It's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I think that they've got a chance. I think that they are better than the San Francisco 49ers. I know people think I'm crazy when I say that, but they're better than the Niners. They're better than the Vikings. They're better than the Falcons. They're better than the Saints. All these teams that are behind them, the Eagles, Panthers, Giants, and Bears, who are still only 1 game out of a playoff spot.
Right.
They're better than all those teams. They're going to get a playoff spot, whether it's the 6 or 7 seed. They're not catching the Rams, Cowboys, Bucks, Packers, or Cardinals. That's out of the question. But they're good enough to get into a playoff spot, and this Washington football team with this defense is a dangerous team. And Tyler Heineke is playing out of his mind.
So, and let's not forget this either, that the Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4 games. Mike McCarty is on COVID this week versus the Saints, along with like 6 or 7 other coaches as well. So, with 5 wins and 7 wins there respectively, if the Cowboys don't do their spot, we could easily see Washington taking over that division, and this could be a 9-8 division champion in the Washington football team, sitting at the 4th seed, playing a very, very good 49ers team, or a who else is 5 seed right now? I'm drawing a blank. Maybe even the Minnesota Vikings could like slide to that 5 or like 6 seed there, and yeah. If they were to play any of those teams that are not like the top 4 teams, I'm talking about the Packers, Bucks, Cardinals. I would even be scared if I was. I'm trying to think of somebody else, but yeah, I mean those 3 teams for sure. Besides those 3 teams, they can beat any of those teams in the NFL. Hell, they beat the Bucks when the Bucks were at their best, right?
Yeah, it's true, and I don't know. I don't know who would say, yeah, you know what, I'll take Washington. They're going to be easy. No
Anderson
teams.
Would.
No teams.
I meant I meant to like
easy to
take
beat.
them as like, oh yeah. No, I think the opposite way.
So I just they might sneak into the playoffs and prove Tory right. Speaking of Monday Night Football, next week I look at these slate of games that are going on, and you got Buccaneers, Falcons, Cowboys, Saints on Thursday night. You got Chargers, Bengals. That might be the best game of the Sunday games. Just a whole lot of bad games. But then you get to Monday night, and you got the Patriots versus the Bills. And that is going to be the game of the week next week. I'm excited to watch it just because I'm excited to see who the New England Patriots really are. I really want to see if they're as good as New England fans are claiming that they are. I watched a couple of their games. I'm sort of impressed with that win over the Tennessee Titans, but I don't want to make excuses for Tennessee, but look, you lose King Henry, you lose a big piece of your offense. It's not the same team when you face them. So, who's the better team, New England or Buffalo?
Well, who is the better team? The correct answer is the New England Patriots, because when you look at the team, you are looking about the whole aspect of the team. Special teams, defense, offense, even the coaching staff. Because you have to throw the coaching staff in there as a team as well, because without a good coaching staff, you want to have a good game plan. So therefore, the team cannot execute that game plan. So give me the better team is obviously the New England Patriots. Now, if you were to tell me who has the better offense, I would go with Buffalo Bills. If it's not snowing, raining, or winning, or cold there, the Buffalo Bills have the better offense. But if it's snowing, or if it's cold, or if it's raining, give me the Patriots. Now, the defensive side of the ball, give me the Patriots as well. So, Patriots had the better team, Cole. There's no question in my mind about it.
Look, the better team to me is the Buffalo Bills. They're the more talented team. I think that they are the better team. I think that their schedule, that they've put up the 7-4 record, which is a half game behind the 8-4 New England Patriots. I think they've done it in a more impressive fashion. The amount of points that they've been putting up, with the shutouts that they've posted, with the lack of scoring that they've allowed, with the exception of the last couple of weeks that they've kind of let a couple of games slip through their fingers, and then they got tore up by the Colts. This Buffalo Bills team is a very good football team, and I think that they are better than the New England Patriots still. However, they've got one thing that the Buffalo Bills don't, and that is Bill Belichick. And look, this guy is the greatest coach, if not one of the greatest coaches of all time. It's a debatable topic, obviously, but he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And he proves it year in and year out. And what he's doing with this team, this is probably the best defense he's ever had. And Wayne G was right when he said that. Wayne G might be right when he said this was an 11-6 team. But we're going to find out over the next few weeks because they got the Buffalo Bills twice. They've also got to play, I can't remember who they had in between the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, the Colts.
Oh, the Colts?
Yeah, it goes. They go Bills, Colts, Bills.
Who are you talking about? The
Patriots.
The Patriots? Okay, yeah, the Patriots.
They go Bills, Colts, Bills. And then they get Jaguars, Dolphins to close out the season. And the Buffalo Bills get the Patriots, the Bucks, the Panthers, and the Patriots. And then they close out with the Falcons and Jets. So that game, man, these two games versus the Patriots are huge. And I'm not going to say that the Patriots, I do think Buffalo is a better team, but I'm not saying that the Patriots can't beat them. The Patriots can absolutely beat. We've seen it in the NFL all year. Any given Sunday, any team can beat anybody. But the Bills are the better team. That Pats defense is very, very good. And Alpha Rob says Pats defense lets PS guys rush over 200 yards. But the Buffalo Bills don't run the ball good.
They don't run the ball at all. What, 5 times a game?
Yeah, they just don't run the ball well. It's not a strength of theirs. So that's I like. Maybe they find it. Maybe they do, and I hope they do because I've got their running back in my fantasy team. So I hope they do find it. But,
so Combs, here is the issue that we are going to run into this Patriots-Bills game here. The one thing that Bill Belichick does so well, better than any coach out there whatsoever, is he is always looking to the next game. He is looking into the playoffs. He's looking into the second round. He has some computer screen with probably every freaking playoff calculation that could possibly happen. He knows that there's probably a 70% chance that he is going to play the Buffalo Bills in the first round of the playoffs, win or lose this game. So with that being said, we are not going to see the full New England Patriots. We are going to see a vanilla defense. We are going to see a vanilla offense. You are going to see probably a 2 high safety, 4-3 base, man on the outside defense from the Patriots. They are going to run their little corner sheet of the playbook, and that's about it. And this game is not going to reflect of how good the Patriots are. How good, you are not going to see this true, full 100% game from the Patriots until the playoffs. Because why do you want to show the Buffalo Bills that you play basically in back-to-back weeks and then have to play them again two weeks after that in the
well, 3 weeks after that because they have a bye.
No, they'll have right now the Ravens are in first place. I'm saying you got the Patriots have the Bills in the next 3 weeks because they've got a bye. Right, but like either way, very vanilla defense from the Patriots, hands down, and you are going to see the Buffalo Bills go all out. They are going to throw everything in the kitchen sink, including the dog, at them just to try to get this win, just to say, you know what? Look at mine. Look at me.
In this AFC, the Pats aren't. I mean, I don't think they're a lock for the playoffs. If they
nobody's
don't
a lock yet. Nobody's a lock.
Well,
yet.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, you can actually look at it and look at the AFC and say that, you know, if the Patriots
are going to win. They're going to need 10 wins to get into the playoffs, Combs. Right now, they're sitting at 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the Chargers are the 7th place team right now, and they've got 6 wins. The Denver Broncos are sitting at 8. They've got 6 wins as well. Do you think 10 wins absolutely positively gets you into the playoffs?
I think so, because what have the Chargers done? I think they're 0-3 in their last 3, aren't they? And the Broncos, I mean, who are the Broncos right now? They're
1-2 in their last 3. The Chargers are.
Okay. But they're still not. They are doing what the Raiders do. They are falling off quick. The Broncos are kind of treading water a little bit. They will sink down here a little bit when they play the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. Their season's over. Sorry, Liz. That's just the way. That's just the way it is.
You're right.
I think 10 wins get you in.
Yeah, I think the Pats will make the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed. I don't think they'll win the division. I think the Bills are the better team.
I don't think they want to win the division. I think they want everybody to overlook them, and then they sneak their way into the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed. Like you're saying,
if you win the division, you could be the number 1 seed, and everybody has to come through New England. They absolutely want to win the division and be the number 1 seed.
Maybe Mac Jones isn't ready to play in that cold weather yet. Like
he plays in Buffalo.
There's a difference between playing in Buffalo in November, or I guess would be just in December, early December, or in January.
What are you talking? He played in Buffalo in January last year.
Mac Jones didn't. He's a rookie.
No, not Mac Jones. You said you didn't say Mac Jones.
I meant Mac Jones.
Oh. So
but I think 10 wins gets him in. They don't play the Buffalo Bills at full strength.
All right. I think I don't know. I definitely think they're going to get in the playoffs, but I think they're going to give the Buffalo Bills their all. They would absolutely like to win the division.
I'm not saying they're not going to give them their all by any means, but they are not going to give you an extensive playbook, extensive game plan at them. It's going to be very vanilla on both sides of the ball, and you are going to see that the next 3 weeks. It would not be surprising to me if they drop the next 3 games versus the Bills, Colts, and Bills, and then they have to win against the Jaguars and Dolphins, and you see Bill Belichick here, ha. I forced my guys to lose, and now we're angry, and we're going to win the next 7, right? I mean,
yeah. Well,
why not?
I guess we'll see. So I saw Drew chime in earlier. You want to know about, you said you were going to comment about Lincoln Riley, but then I did also see that Drew left. But let's get to it anyway, because I'm sure
I will clip it for you, Drew, and send it to you. How about that?
There you go. So the college coaching carousel is starting to take place, right? You've got Lincoln Riley, who is now going to USC. You've got Brian Kelly, who's jumping ship from Notre Dame and running to LSU. A lot of talk about the Notre Dame is going to target the Cincinnati head coach. His name escapes me right now. Why are college coaches allowed to just abandon ship?
Well, first things first. When you look for a new job, Combs, and this new job offers you XYZ, we're taking money out of it. Strictly XYZ, better location, better hours, better work-life balance, right? You are obviously going to jump at that opportunity, right? This is the same thing as college. These guys are working. It is not like they are there to just, oh, here is all my time and energy. My wife is going to leave me because I'm looking at hookers and strippers and spending 20 hours like at the office 9 months a year.
Whoa. Calm down, because that guy is coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars now.
For now. But with that being said, when somebody like Lincoln Riley has a chance to leave Norman, Oklahoma to go to USC Los Angeles, why not jump at that opportunity? And to say that they are abandoning ship. So let me ask you this: as a athletic director or as a coach, do you want a coach on your staff coaching a bowl game for you when from now until February 15th, this is the most recruiting time that you will ever get? You aren't playing games. You are in people's houses. You're watching state championship games. This is the prime recruiting time frame for these teams, for these colleges. So you want somebody that is coaching at USC next year, taking your time and resources as a coach for Oklahoma and dragging you down? No, players go to teams, to colleges. Let's just be flat out honest here, Combs. People do not go to college for academics. They do not go to college for the scenery, right?
Don't go to college for academics.
Right. We are talking about football here. So they go there to, how can I get to the NFL? How can I make some money on the side? How can I be seen the most? And what does that do? A high profile coach, Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, right? Dablo Sweeney, right? You want those high profile guys that are putting guys repetitively in the NFL. You want teams that are repetitively in the top 5, top 10 year after year after year. And you want to go play with your friends, your other 5-star athletes that make your job that much easier. So when you say Lincoln Riley is jumping ship, no, he is just taking a better opportunity for himself. He is then putting Oklahoma in a great position to hire a coach before the recruiting deadline is over. What better recruiting tactic is there, Combs? I'm going to walk into your house here and I could say, hey, I want to invite you down to sunny Florida here to see what the bowl game is all about. You're going to jump at that opportunity, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't blame the coaches for taking the payday. I feel like if a coach is allowed to just leave, why can't the players?
The players can.
They can, but they have to sit a year.
No. So there is a rule in the NCAA that was passed a couple years ago, maybe 5. If your coach leaves, you can put in your transfer portal saying, I am leaving because the guy that recruited me here is leaving. You will 9 times out of 10 get automatic eligibility for any other school outside of your conference.
How come a coach can't only leave when his quarterback decides he wants to leave?
What do you mean by
that? A coach
that?
can leave anytime he wants. A player can only leave with no penalty if his coach leaves.
A player can a player can leave anytime he wants to. There is not a gun held to your head that's saying that you have to stay at Oklahoma all 5 years that you are a college athlete. There is nothing binding you by that contract. What there is though is what is considered like interconference swapping, right? So basically, like the SEC has to write off saying yes. I don't know, any player, ex-player from Alabama wants to transfer to LSU because he's pissed off at such and such and he just wants to play Alabama for like 4 times. You have to have a valid reason to leave a school, whether it be medical, my mom's has cancer, my coach left, etc. You have to have a valid reason. 9 times out of 10, you are granted instant eligibility if you leave the conference. So if you go from Big 12 to SEC, you join an SEC school, 9 times out of 10 you are able to play that next year now.
Yeah. I get it. And look, the internet didn't waste any time. I saw a meme earlier today that said with the Notre Dame job opening, it might not be the first thing that falls on Urban Meyer's lap this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
I love it.
Does Urban Meyer go to Notre Dame because he was rumored to have league? He was rumored to have the USC job.
As much as I don't like him in the NFL because I don't think he's an NFL coach, he's a great recruiter.
He's a great recruiter, but Notre Dame is no longer the Mecca.
I think Notre Dame wins a national title within 3 years if he goes to Notre Dame.
You are full of shit. Notre Dame's prime time is over.
Stop. Stop. Because especially now that they can pay players, please come on, stop it.
Yeah,
stop it.
Would you rather go to Notre Dame?
Program in the NCAA that has more money and more dollars and more freaking anything than Notre Dame?
Every school in the SEC. Hell, Vanderbilt probably makes more money than freaking Notre Dame does, and Vanderbilt hasn't won a game in 15 years.
Stop it, Buck. Stop.
I would rather go to Vanderbilt than Notre Dame.
You know what? None of those teams have a deal with NBC.
Either does Notre Dame anymore.
Google
it.
What are you talking about? All of their games are still on NBC.
I have not seen one game of Notre Dame's on NBC all
That's
season.
because you live in Louisville. They don't show you football. They show you funerals.
They only on Sundays when the Chiefs play. you know that. But
I've watched all their games this year on NBC.
But I am 90% positive that deal is no longer a valid deal, Combs. Google it. I can't reach my keyboard.
I'm going to Google it right now, and I'm
Google it.
99.9% positive it is still a deal.
I bet you they're only on Peacock. They
Peacock
want you to buy that.
NBC.
Yeah, but technically it is. But who wants to watch Peacock? Who wants to download an app on their TV and pay $6 to watch freaking Notre Dame play? Not I.
Oh God. Let me see here. NBC and Notre Dame said the extension would begin in 2016 and run through the 2025 season.
Okay.
So after the $20 a year, $15 million a year just from their TV contract.
That's what K-State makes with ESPN. Get at it. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. Texas, the Longhorn Network, their Combs, they're making like $30 million a week or something crazy, like just like that. That is why the Texas and Oklahoma want to lead the Big 12 back when West Virginia joined and TCU and like all the schools were breaking up and joining conferences and stuff like that. That's the only reason why they stayed in the Big 12 is because the Big 12 said that they could keep the Longhorn Network and make all that money.
Stop, Buck.
The Longhorn Network makes more money than ESPN.
I don't want to talk to you right now
because I'm right.
You're not right, Buck. I'm looking at if this damn thing would pull up, but it keeps going to some.
Yeah,
looking to see what the
porn.
No, stop.
Oh.
So, do you know which team makes the most money?
I bet from TV deals.
No, just in general, which team brings in the most revenue?
Oh, it's probably some stupid team like Oregon.
Yeah, $391 million a year.
Yeah, because of all the Nike deals and shit.
State.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Ohio State. Number 3 is Texas. Number 4 is Michigan. Number 5.
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Okay.
More than any SEC team, Buck.
For now, because those numbers are from what 2018.
No, those numbers are from 2021.
There's no way they can do that right now because the 21 season is still going on.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2020. Sorry, 2020.
Okay, so
the article is from 2021. Sorry.
So a COVID-ridden season where the SEC played like 6 games. Actually,
how far do you want me to go back to prove you wrong? Like I can keep going if you want.
You can.
Let's see here. Let's
2018.
When was this one taken? This one was. So this one was from the 2019 season. Texas number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan number 3, Notre Dame number 4. Want me to keep going?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what 2018 had to bring.
Let me guess, it wasn't a Notre Dame national championship.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I always got something stupid to say.
You still got 2016
because I've proven your points wrong.
You still got 2016.
I'll always have 2016, always, and I'll cry every time I see it.
Alpha Rob says we're giving Bill Belichick too much credit.
Alpha Rob. The man has 6 Super Bowl rings. He's been to 9. I mean, that's not giving him too much credit. That's facts.
No, Tom Brady's won 6 Super Bowls, and Tom Brady's been to 9, right?
Stop it. That's true too. But I mean, look, the peanut butter to the jelly, right?
Yeah, exactly. Peanut butter.
They needed it's Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, Batman and Robin, right? Like they needed each other. They were great because of each other. Look, yes, did Tom go off and still be great in Tampa Bay? Sure, because he went to a loaded team with a great defense. Would he have done in Tampa Bay what he did in New England? No, because they never had the players in Tampa Bay that they had in New England. Right. And he left New England because they were sorry again.
Were they really sorry, or
they
was
were getting
Tom
hit
Brady
all the time? He was getting hit so much over the last 2 years of his tenure with New England.
Right. I totally agree with that. It was like 30 plus sacks. I think it was like the highest 2 in his career ever, besides his rookie season. But what makes Bill Belichick so good or so great is he does not hang on to players past their prime. I mean, he almost sometimes let them go too early.
But he takes players that wouldn't be good in any other team and implements them in the system.
Right.
He is a system coach. And look, the guys that come into that system, they thrive. And then when they leave that system, they don't. And people,
if you buy into it,
you're crazy. You're crazy. Look, he had one other than Tom Brady and Marshall Faulk I think they had him for 2 years. He's had freaking 1 year with a Hall of Fame wide receiver. 1 year.
Yeah.
And that was Randy Moss. Or I'm sorry, I think Randy Moss was there for 3 seasons. So they had 3 seasons with Randy Moss. But they had that one outstanding season where they were 18-0 heading into the Super Bowl and then lost to the Giants.
Didn't he set the touchdown record in that season as well or something?
Yeah, I think they threw like 52 touchdown passes.
Did he seriously? Randy Moss?
You look at guys like Deion Branch. What was Deion Branch when he left the New England Patriots and went to Seattle? Nothing. He had to come back to New England to resurrect his career. Yeah, but he was in the prime. He had a bunch of great seasons. Then went to Seattle and was nothing. You look at Wes Welker. What was he after he left New England? He was nothing. You look
concussion
at
case.
Huh?
A concussion case.
A concussion case. You look at any of these other guys that just aren't. They wouldn't be where they were if they weren't in Bill Belichick's system.
Are none of those guys Hall of Famers? Deion Branch, Wes
Welker will be a Hall of Famer, but he'll be a Hall of Famer because he played in that system. Wes Welker wasn't a Hall of Famer anywhere else. Same thing with Julian Edelman.
That's tough saying because you don't know what would happen. Yeah,
no, it's not. It's not. You do know what happened. He didn't leave New England when he was old and cruddy. He was still really damn good when he left New England. He went to Miami. He was nothing. And then after he left Miami, he went to Denver, and he had one good season.
Yeah, and he had like
and you know where that one good season was with the second greatest quarterback of all time, and Peyton Manning.
Right.
So I mean, it's just look, he's not the same guy. And these guys come to this New England system and they play better because they're in that system. And that's why we give Bill Belichick all that credit.
So Combs, like I know you guys kind of touched this. I think it was on Sunday when you guys kind of touched on this a little bit. And was it you saying that if you took all 5 rookies and threw them in the Patriots system, that do you think Justin Fields would actually thrive in New England? We don't care, Combs, because we're done talking about the Chicago Bears. Man Hour Nation, rise up.
How dare you